So with the release of Shadowlands mere days away, I, as a humble content creator and influencer, need to cash in. So I have a list here of 16 utterly baseless predictions for Shadowlands for your enjoyment. While I've had the beta for a while now, I haven't really touched it, so some of these predictions may already be known. I didn't bother to check. You might call that lazy of me. Number 1, Shadowlands PvP will feel better than BFA, but people will still be mad. As we've seen from the beta, the Shadowlands meta will be, at least for Season 1, quite a bit faster than BFA was. And that's widely considered to be a good thing, and I would tend to agree. The problem with aiming for a fast meta, however, is that if players do more damage than you predicted, there's no safety net. We're seeing that right now in the beta with PvE trinkets, as players are able to kill each other in about 2 seconds from a standing start, due to unbalanced tools. I predict we're going to be seeing a lot of that, like just gimmick builds that do oppressive amounts of damage, because between legendaries and covenants, there's just too many options and too many possibilities for Blizzard to account for. So the early weeks of Shadowlands is just going to be Blizzard playing whack-a-mole with tuning, similar to Corruption, and it's going to test their commitment and resources. On a similar note, players declared victory recently when power scaling was removed from PvP. This system was developed in Legion and was designed to keep the immense power creep of modern expansions in check. This technology existed to prevent your ult from being one-shot by every middlingly geared character you came across. With its absence, new players and ults are going to be having a much harder time in PvP, and the experience of being one-shot by everyone they encounter is going to steer them towards gearing in PvE, even if Blizzard gets the PvP gearing sorted out. This will result in a lower participation rate and a lot of angry posts on r/world of PvP. And because this is scaling technology designed to close the gap between gear, you aren't going to see any effect on the top end, and literally nothing good is going to come from its removal. Okay, number 2 is Sylvanas Redemption Arc. Oh wait, sorry, I misspoke. I meant to say no Sylvanas Redemption Arc. For years, we've seen fans clamoring for a galaxy-brained utilitarian villain. Someone whose horrendous actions are justified by the plot because they're in service of preventing some bigger threat. People believed the Burning Legion was doing what they were doing purely to restrain the Void Lords or deter the Void Lords. People believed N'Zoth was doing old god shit in order to hold back some greater unseen enemy that we didn't know about. And Sylvanas has gotten the same treatment. And so we have these fan theories that Sylvanas is actually doing some 4D chess to save the world, she's rallying this dead army of cosmic proportions to fight off some yet unknown threat. It's probably the Void Lords again, because we're just going to keep doing Void Lords until they turn up. It's like the South Sea expansion, right? They just kept saying South Sea, until eventually they were proven right. I presume the idea emerges from just, wanton destruction being a kind of boring plot point. So when, N'Zoth turns up and he just wants to destroy the world, there needs to be a way to jazz it up to make it more interesting than it actually is. Especially the old gods are really hammed up as these enigmatic villains. They speak in riddles and say you don't understand the they're just doing Lovecraftian stuff. But people assume there's a complexity to it and a mystery to it, when in reality it's just classic undisruptive capital C content. My prediction is that none of this will happen. It is precisely what it looks like. Sylvanas is a character who has so rarely had control over her own life, and the need to control fate is just a metaphor for her needing to gain control of her own autonomy. So, her seizing of power through the Jailer is her getting the chance to choose her own path, and her path is for us to kill her. So, sorry. Number 3, Method is going to reform, and it's going to be disastrous. Method disbanded for reasons that we could get into. So Method's Guildmaster, Sko, is in the process of rebuilding the guild's roster, and started a few weeks ago by the time this is going to be posted. I've lived through several guilds that have done mass recruitment during lulls and expansions, and it never goes well. The problem comes from the fact that the content you're using to test trials is very well worn. They've had months to acclimate to it and learn it, and so players tend to overperform on that content. They look really good because they've got it all down to a fucking art. And Scott is not just trying to rebuild his guild on farm content, he's doing it in the pre-patch, where this already worn content has been nerfed to the point of triviality. So no matter how hard he tries, there's basically nothing useful you can get from that. So Scott's tasked with sorting through a list of hundreds of scabs to build a decent roster on short notice without any meaningful way of trialing them to raid in a few weeks. It wouldn't be his first rebuild, but fuck, those are some odds. As I'm recording this, it seems like he's paired with a guild called Reason, currently a World 20th guild. It's a safe decision, one that mirrors Method's last rebuild. Even if Sko feels the need to mess with the roster, they still have a functional spine of that original guild to work with. So realistically, you won't expect them to perform any worse than World 20th, and in all likelihood they're going to easily improve on that. But that isn't fun. So I am going to stick with my original prediction from when this was first announced. Their first tier will be a Clown Fiesta of Drama and Issues. That's what I've got written down here from before this was announced. Clown Fiesta of Drama and Issues, World 35th, if they survive to complete the tier. That is my prediction. Fuck. Number 4, Garrosh Rehabilitation. Warcraft's favourite genocidal authoritarian is going to be forgiven. He's going to get a big old man hug from Chris Metzen and be told, you did okay. So we've already seen Garrosh being tortured in Revendreth, so we know he's at least going to turn up. My prediction is Thrall will witness this and say something to the effect of, his crimes were unforgivable, but no one deserves this. He will all but certainly deserve this. Garrosh will stay dead, but he'll get some amount of redemption and probably end up hanging out with the Necrolords in Maldraxxus and whatever. Number 5, no Undead Paladins. Number 6, I will decide to raid again and it will be bad for my relationship. This will be the first you're hearing about that, Shannon, so, sorry. Number 7, Shadowlands Patch 9.1, The Abyssal Maul. Look, Shadowlands has had a rough development, we all know that, it's fine. But to keep on track with their 2021 projections, I predict that Shadowlands Patch 9.1 will revive the Abyssal Maul, the scrapped raid from Cataclysm. I predict that it will pick up precisely where it would have gone in Cataclysm and not acknowledge the 10-year gap, but Chromie will appear to bookend the raid, so it'll be fine. Number 8, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to get a character in Bastion. No one will be happy about it, and no one at Blizzard will know who put her there. It'll just be a seemingly random act of corporate inertia. Number 9, there will be a quest where a character dies and then the Shadowlands ghost form immediately appears as though nothing had happened. This one is just a free space because I had to make sure I got at least one right. Number 10, Prot Paladin, Resto Druid Frost Mage, and Double Rogue will be the meta comp for keystones. Again, I must stress that I have done nothing with the Shadowlands endgame. This is not advice, this is shitposting. But go ahead and lock in that composition for the Mythic Dungeon Invitational. Number 11, Lightforged Draenei will be removed from the game and be replaced with Furbolgs. I can fucking dream, can't I? Can you just give me this one thing? Number 12, tanks are going to be busted in Arena for Season 1. This will lead to my video getting a big spike in traffic. I'll be conflicted on that one. Number 13, Tyrande. What if Girlboss, but too much? Through the immense power of the Night Warrior, Tyrande finds herself an incredibly empowered character, a symbol for the potential of women in the modern world. But is she too powerful? Yes. So she's either going to turn evil or go insane, probably both, but one thing is for certain, those Night Warrior powers will not be here in the summer of 2022. But I'm going to make it a multi, because I predict that not only will this happen, but it's going to be handled very poorly and be a PR crisis for Blizzard, and it will at some point feature a statement that includes the phrase, "We will continue to do better." Lock that one in. Number 14, I'm going to agonize over my Covenant choice up until release and still end up regretting it on day 4. I'm playing a Windwalker Monk and Protection Paladin, so suggestions in the comments. Number 15, Arthas will be reinstated as the Lich King or the new Jailer. Okay, so the main plot of Shadowlands is going to revolve around rescuing Arthas from the Maw and learning about the true nature of the Lich King debacle. We're going to learn that he was in fact a very good boy who was corrupted into darkness, and this will restore certified good boy status because he was a puppet of Nazul. His death will cleanse him of corruption and he'll be good to go. My theory centers on the Jailer being defeated but needing to be replaced a la the Lich King. Either Arthas will take up that role similar to Bolvar, or Bolvar can be promoted to the Jailer, leaving a spot open for Arthas to retake his original position as the Lich King, but as a good boy, just like Bolvar did. Arthas as Jailer would be easy to pull off since he's already dead and resurrecting Arthas is a whole other thing, but I have a suspicion that Blizzard will be craving to restore some status quo to their most popular character. So despite it being more of a stretch, I predict that Arthas will end Shadowlands as the Lich King. Number 15, Shadowlands has a lot going against it, but in spite of it all, Shadowlands will be a good expansion. There is a lot to be nervous about with Shadowlands. The pitch for Covenants is hugely ambitious, and aligning the gameplay outcomes with the thematic goals may well be impossible. But as I skulked around the beta collecting footage for this video, I couldn't help but be struck by the artistry of the Shadowlands, and how this group of individuals continues to push the franchise to new places after 16 years. As nervous as Covenants make me, their ambition and the creators' confidence in them piques my interest. In many ways, this mythological ripcord is the easy way out. It's scuttling an idea that isn't quite working. And that may still end up happening, but the creators' reluctance to do so and their confidence in what they've built, to me, is not a sign of stubbornness and more a sign of integrity. It's a desire to realize their art in its best possible form. And if that is true, and that drive is found throughout the expansion, then Shadowlands will be really good. Mate, this video is called Baseless Predictions. What the fuck did you think it was going to be? You're the one who clicked on it. What the... Yes, I'm allowed to say it might be good. To have a little bit of optimism. Fuck, man. So, just get your life together. Oh, by the way, next WAF video is being written. It's coming along good. It's going to be on crowd control, maybe. I've also got one on clicking and communication and esports and viewer. I've got a lot of them, so I haven't abandoned it yet. Settle down.